Hello everyone, my name is Pixlriffs and welcome back to the Minecraft Survival Guide. I hope you're all having a good day. In today's episode, before we get started, I just want to update you on a couple of things that I'm doing around here. First of all, of course, we have our amazing wall inside of there that's full of lots of fun and colourful blocks that people picked on a fundraising live stream we did recently, so big thank you to everybody who picked stuff out for that. I've also been working on a bit of landscaping around here, because I realised that this is slowly becoming a place that doesn't really feel all that tied together. So I'm starting to work in a couple of landscaping details around here. I've got a wall over here that's full of tough and mossy cobblestone and some flowers and bits and pieces like that, and bushes all down there, and then we've got a boulder a little bit further up to kind of make it feel like there's this rock formation that's pierced up through the landscape in places. Speaking of the landscape, that guy's just taken some of it away. But I'm going to start working on a few small details like that that are going to make this area feel a little bit more tied together. And maybe we'll do some episodes about that in future, but that's not what we're going to do today. In fact, I've decided to start this episode with a bit more of a peaceful, pastoral scene, because today we're going to unleash chaos. We're going to do a Pillager Raid, which is one of the things I'm actually kind of surprised we haven't got to yet, considering the amount of pillagers that visit my base. So as we fly over here past the mob farm over towards this plains biome, we will see the familiar silhouette of a pillager outpost come into view. And the pillagers have already spotted me and started to make a beeline towards me. The banners up there are what we're really looking for, but we're looking for one of those attached to one of the pillagers. You'll always find a pillager patrol captain, as they are called, spawning with a banner over the top of it in any pillager patrol, but you can also find them spawning around pillager outposts like this, and it's one of those that we want to look for because we want to intentionally acquire the Bad Omen status effect. Lots of pillagers around here, and there is one over there. If I can dodge a few crossbow bolts here and there, we need to kill this guy directly without any of his fellows killing him by accident. And now, as you can see, in the top right-hand corner of the screen, we have the Bad Omen status effect. One thing to be aware of with Bad Omen is that if you kill more than one pillager captain... Oh no, that guy, I just saw that guy down there actually attacking the Wandering Trader, which is the first time I've ever seen the Wandering Trader be attacked by anything that wasn't just a player, actually. As I was saying, if you end up with another pillager captain spawning, there is a chance to kill a second pillager captain to stack the Bad Omen effect. It says Bad Omen right now, but if you kill a second one, you get Bad Omen 2, Bad Omen 3, all the way up to an effect level of 5. And I'll explain exactly how that has an effect on what we're about to do today once we get the ball rolling. But now, I need to find a village, and it's not going to be the Savannah village where I've developed everything, because I kind of want to keep those villagers alive, and I am fairly positive that whatever village we find, some of the population is going to get themselves killed. So let's continue flying on over the hill and down into the plains biome beyond, where hopefully we should be able to encounter a plains village somewhere around here. And if we don't, then we'll keep looking until we find a village of another kind. Okay, this peaceful hamlet over here, this little village on the coast, is not gonna know what hit it. That is going to be the site of our Pillager Raid. Pillager Raids pretty much have to take place anywhere there is an active village, although that does include anywhere where there is a villager and a workstation. So if we had some villagers back at our base, we could, in theory, start a raid there. But we're not going to do that because I don't have any villagers at my base, for one, and for two, that might be a little bit dangerous for them. What I am going to do is gear up, because ideally, we want to be as well protected as possible here, and that is going to mean sacrificing my elytra for our protection for diamond chestplate. I could have a bit of netherite gear as part of this, but honestly, I think I'm going to be better off with the chestplate. I might keep the elytra on me just in case things go horribly wrong, but I think we need to make sure we're going in with as much gear as possible. Then I'm going to run into this village and I'm going to head for a bed, because I don't want it to be nighttime when this raid happens. But as soon as I hit the boundary of this village, as soon as I get within proximity of the villagers, a raid boss bar is going to start appearing on the top of my screen. And at that point, the raid is on, ladies and gentlemen. The villagers are going to ring the bell in the center of town, and then everything is going to kick off. There we go, I couldn't find a bed in time. Horns are blowing in the distance, and we need to... Oh gosh, none of these houses have beds. I picked a terrible village for this. There we go, we've got a bed in here. Let's quickly sleep for the night. Oh gosh, there are monsters nearby, and a villager has decided to claim the bed for himself. Let's take it outside and try and sleep somewhere a little safer. Too late, the village is already under attack by pillagers, one of whom is a Vindicator. So in this case, we don't just have the crossbow-wielding pillagers to worry about, we have Vindicators as well. The other illagers that you'll see in Woodland woodland mansions have come out to play, and while the rest of the village is hopefully relatively safe, I'm going to get some sleep to make sure we don't have too many other hostile mobs around. Now, the objective of a raid is to defend a village against waves of attacking villagers, and if all the villagers die, you lose the raid. So anywhere where there is a villager in town, I think we're probably going to try our best to block them in. So there's clearly a couple of villagers in this house already. We're going to leave a couple of hay bales outside of the front door to make sure that the villagers can't get out and the pillagers can't get in, because they will try and raid nearby houses. And as you can see, they're already kind of doing a little bit of infighting over here as they shoot at each other, trying to get to either the villagers or me. Now, the Iron Golem will help to defend the village at this point, and the villagers, if they see the pillagers and panic, may decide to create another Iron Golem in the same way that they do when a zombie is attacking them. But as we can see, we have cleared wave 1 of our raid. The villagers have come out to ring the bell one more time, which should send all of the other villagers back into their houses, and the second wave of the raid begins. Each wave of the raid comes from a different location in the surrounding area, and usually the game will try and pick a block high up enough that it's on the surface, really. So it will try not to spawn them in caves in the area, but if there is a large open cave nearby, sometimes they can end up getting stuck in there. And the first 2 waves of the raid are not going to be too much to write home about. We've got a couple of Pillagers here, we've got a couple of Vindicators. They aren't really making their way in towards the center of the village right now, but of course, as soon as they spot a villager or a player, they are going to start rushing in towards you, and of course, Vindicators here are as deadly as Vindicators are in woodland mansions. You need to watch out for them stunning your shield if they're attacking you with an axe, and generally speaking, they are pretty heavy hitting. Wave 3 of the raid, though, is where things are going to get a little bit more serious. As you can tell from the horns blowing in the distance, the village is going to be raided from a different side each time, and it kind of determines these locations randomly, but a Ravager is now running towards us, and this is a monster that we're going to have to keep at bay, because Ravagers are incredibly heavy hitting. They are a little bit dangerous, and if you end up blocking them with a shield like so, they will roar and push players and other mobs away from them. So they can be incredibly dangerous, although in this case we took him down nice and easily. We can probably get some of the pillagers to attack each other a little bit if they're queuing up their crossbow bolts behind each other. There we go. Now, there are 1 or 2 of the raid mobs left. There is a Vindicator over there, and you might notice that there are some potion effects spiraling up from him, because the witch over there basically acts as a support class. It will end up throwing regen potions and swiftness potions at her fellow Pillagers, making sure that they are buffed up with regeneration and ready for a fight. Beyond that, they will act hostile towards players in the way that they usually do, and they'll even try and throw poison or slowness potions at the villagers as well. So I'm actually going to wait a little while until the poison and slowness effects wear off before I take out this witch. Otherwise, I'm going to find myself in hot water in the next wave of the raid. Alright, looks like we are probably safe in killing the witch, and I think for the next wave of the raid, I'm going to get up on top of a tower over here. I'm going to try and get up on top of one of these village houses. I'm going to block these villagers in because they seem to have found shelter. I'm going to grab a few blocks of dirt, and I'm going to pillar up on the side over here. Because at this point, the waves of the raid are going to get a little more intense. A couple more witches will appear in this wave, and while we won't see any Ravagers this time around, things are gearing up for a dramatic conclusion. I'm also going to set the bed up here and right-click on that so that I can respawn here just in case I end up getting killed, and hopefully these other villagers will find their homes. While things are still a little bit quiet, and while the pillagers haven't come in towards the center of the village yet, I can also show you some more functionality of the village bell, because if I bait some of the Pillagers in towards the center of town and I ring the bell by right-clicking on it like that, it actually outlines them in a glowing effect, similar to when you attack something with a spectral arrow. And doing that will actually show you where the remaining raid mobs are if you're having a hard time tracking some of them down. But right now, it seems like most of them are outside of the radius of the village, which means ringing the bell isn't alerting me to their presence. And I have a feeling that a couple of them might have wandered down into a cave somewhere here, because I can't see all that many of them standing here on the surface. I'm definitely hearing a little bit of action down here, though, and yep, they've wandered into this ravine. Well, that's okay for me, because that means a nice easy time taking out the remaining raiders. We've got one more Vindicator left to take out down here, and he's probably going to burn to death, which means the next wave of the raid is going to start. And for this one, I am definitely pillaring up on top of one of the houses, because this wave is going to contain at least one Ravager and potentially an Evoker as well. And you'll usually see the Evokers running around incredibly fast like that one over there is, and then they'll try and get within range of you and summon vexes, much the same as they do in Woodland Mansions. Of course, having an Evoker in this wave of the raid means that the Evoker is going to drop a Totem of Undying, which can be pretty helpful to use in the event of a raid scenario like this. And if you don't end up using the Totem of Undying yourself, then it can be pretty nice as loot to take away. But as you can see, right here on the roof, we are relatively safe. The Pillagers might be able to hit us with the occasional crossbow bolt, and they might try and pillar up towards us, but for the most part, if we got a decent ranged weapon, they're going to be pretty easy to pick off. Now, that Evoker down there needs to go, so I'm going to fire off a couple of bow shots. Yes, there we go, we took him out. So now we should be able to swoop in and claim that Totem of Undying, which I know some players prefer to use instead of a shield in situations like this. Personally, I like to stick with the shield, even though it gets stunned by Vindicators, because having a shield against those arrows is usually a good idea. But there we go, we've just got the one witch left. We've managed to take out all of the other raiders, and that's going to be it for this wave. Next up, we have wave 6, and this is once again where things increase a little in difficulty. We're going to get back up onto the safety of our house roof here and see where the next wave is coming from. And it sounds like it's coming from over there. Yes, there we go. It seems like that one stonemason who's out here is probably going to get attacked pretty quickly, but we'll see if we can draw the Pillagers' fire away from him while he gets to safety. And our friend the Iron Golem is still willing to help out with that. Oh no, a Vindicator is on the pursuit. Let's see if we can get him. Yes, there we go. Another Evoker is running around like mad, and he's summoned some vexes to try and take out the villager, who unfortunately has not made it. Well, once again, vexes are pretty tough. They've all got iron swords equipped, so they are potentially going to be very, very lethal if we get up too close to them. And it seems like that Vindicator there was so fixated on dealing with the remaining villagers that he didn't see the Iron Golem coming. Wave 7 of the raid should be the final wave, but if you have Bad Omen 2 or higher, you end up with more waves of the raid spawning. Basically, the final wave of the raid respawns several times, equivalent to the amount of Bad Omen that you've stacked on top of the base level effect. So let's see if any of these ones notice me. The Evoker here is riding a Ravager, so we need to take him out as soon as possible, ideally. Yes, there we go. Okay, looks like he didn't manage to spawn any vexes, and the Ravager is going to go down nice and easily as well. Don't worry about the durability on my bow, by the way. It has unbreaking, and I was planning on repairing it before I went and did this raid, but I thought I would play a little more dangerously today. We got another Ravager down here, whose rider seems to have deserted it, or maybe it spawned without a rider. Difficult to say, but that one is all taken care of. And there's still a few vexes hovering around, which means there is probably another Evoker down there. Yep, I see him sprinting between the houses. Looks like he took out one of our farmers who was here, and now we should be able to try and... Yes, there we go. Bullseye him from a distance. Well, the Iron Golem is stepping in, and I think we have taken care of the most dangerous mobs in the raid, although there is still one Evoker down there. Let's see if we can take him out. There we go. Perfect. And honestly, staying up here on the roof of a house is one of the safest positions you can have in a raid like this. It sounds like the Pillagers are trying to break down the doors of this house, and I'm here to meet them. Hello. There you are. Whoa. And as you can see, there we go. Did something just break? Was that the... I can't tell what just broke. It wasn't me. I think it was my shield ended up getting stunned by the Vindicator's axe there. Well, it looks like we do need to sleep, but we have one more raider left to take out here, and we've got a few totems of Undying that we can clear up from the ground. It looks like there's just one more Vindicator over here, and with my shield recharged, I can give him a couple of crits. There we go. We've completed that challenge. We are the hero of this village, and I'll explain a bit more about what that means once I've got some sleep. Oh, good morning. Well, that was incredibly chaotic, but I'm glad we did it because we have just survived our first Pillager Raid. The next task we have this morning is to run around and see if we can pick up any of the loot that was dropped around this area when we killed any of the Evokers or Vindicators. The Ravagers will just drop saddles. Unfortunately, Ravager loot isn't all that interesting, but I think there should still be a couple of totems of Undying around here on the ground if they weren't picked up by something else in the meantime. Yep, there's one down here. We can grab that one. We've got 3 of those already. Let's chuck out a couple of things from my inventory so I have a bit more space here. There was definitely one over here from an Evoker that dropped it once we took him out, and I think, yes, the last one is over there. So from that raid, we didn't bring our own Totem of Undying. We have managed to claim 5 of them, along with a bunch of emeralds from the Vindicators, a couple of saddles from Ravagers, and the Pillagers don't really drop all that much interesting stuff. The occasional crossbow, ho ho ho, looks like they brought backup. Yeah, you'll have to get up earlier in the morning to sneak up on me, though. There we go. So now we should be able to let the villagers out of their houses. We can release our friends from this house over here as well. We can remove these hay bales that are in the way. It looks like they barricaded the doors themselves, and a bunch of them are now up here. And since these two don't have any profession, they're not really going to do all that much for us in terms of the hero of the village stuff. But once they are able to pair to workstations again, once they step out here, I think one of them is probably going to become a farmer and maybe one a stonemason to replace the villagers that we lost during the raid. We're going to find that they are incredibly grateful to us for saving them from something that we actually brought to the village. But shh, don't talk about that. What the hero of the village effect does is encourage villagers to throw you items related to their profession. And they are usually the basic items that you trade to the villagers. So if I stand around this librarian for long enough, eventually he's going to throw a piece of paper or something like that at me. I think they throw occasional bits and pieces of the stuff that they trade. They will also give you discounts for as long as you keep that hero of the village effect. See, he's just thrown me a book. What a lovely man. The farmers over here in the fields are going to be incredibly grateful to us as well. They're going to throw us some food every so often, which is very nice of them. And once again, their trades are discounted as well. Although they're not going to give us extra bread, they're just going to give us a discount on the stuff that we trade to them for emeralds. Unfortunately, not even being the hero of the village can stop the onset of rain in Minecraft. So it's going to be a little bit rainy for the remainder of this little demonstration. But I believe one of our villager friends has just reclaimed the stonemason's house, which means we can stop by and see him. And as with the other villagers, the stonemason is giving us some discounts and will throw us blocks related to his profession. He's going to be throwing us a couple of clay blocks and things like that to show his gratitude for us saving the town from the raid. So yeah, it is pretty ironic that basically everything that villagers give you discounts for is a situation that the player has brought with them. Like, oh, there we go. This farmer has thrown us a cookie. I didn't even notice that was on the ground. Floor cookies. Lovely. But yeah, if you zombify and cure a villager, they give you discounts, which seems kind of strange. If you bring a bunch of pillagers to their home and potentially save them from that, they give you discounts, they throw stuff at you. It's kind of hilarious in a way, but that's just the way the mechanics of the game work. There is a pretty significant difference between Hero of the Village in Java Edition compared to Bedrock Edition, and that's that in Java Edition, the Hero of the Village effect has multiple levels in the same way that Bad Omen does. It can stack all the way up to level 5, so if you're incredibly popular and you've saved a village from multiple successive raids, then they'll end up giving you, Hero of the Village 2 or 3 and so forth, and that increases the discounts they give you. Obviously, it caps out at level 5, by which point they're giving you about half-price discounts on most of their trades. On Bedrock Edition, I believe there is only Hero of the Village level 1, so you only get about a 30% discount. But even so, it is worth doing on top of some of the other ways you can get discounts from villagers if you just want to push it over the edge. Now let's throw some of these Totems of Undying and Emeralds and stuff into our backup gear chest here. I'm going to don my Elytra once again, and we're going to fly back over to the Savannah village where we've been trading with all of those villagers, mostly to escape from the rain, but also to demonstrate something else about Hero of the Village here. And that's that the Hero of the Village effect still applies regardless of whether you're in the village that you saved from the raid. And in this case, we're not in the village that we saved from the raid, we've obviously gone to visit our Savannah village that we know and love. But since we've walked into the village with the Hero of the Village effect active, it's like strolling into town with a certain aura of heroism around you, and the villagers of this village will still be interested in throwing a few things at me, once they're done with their morning meeting, of course. As you can see, they're all starting to take an interest in me, and you have to be within 4 or 5 blocks of the villagers before they start showering you with gifts, but look at that! A bunch of them all decided to throw me gifts all at once. And the reason I've come to this village in particular is because we have every villager profession here, so we can get a more well-rounded look at all of the stuff that they're going to throw to me. But as you can see, they are quite willing to do that, and every so often, they're going to chuck a block or two in my direction. That brown wool, I believe, is actually from the shepherd, so we're going to throw this crossbow on the ground, and we're going to take a look at what we received. So from the farmer, we got some cookies, we got some paper from either the cartographer or the librarian, but the librarian seems to only throw books at me, so maybe the cartographer will throw paper, maybe an empty map or two, that kind of thing. The shepherd will throw you a variety of wool items, the stonemason is going to throw you some clay, the leatherworker is going to throw you some leather, the armorer has thrown me some chainmail leggings, and this is another really neat way of getting hold of chainmail if you haven't unlocked it all the way from one of the armorers. The fisherman threw me a raw cod, and I expect if we see a few more of these villagers around, the Fletcher threw me a single arrow, which I think got stacked up with the arrows I already had on me. The cleric, I believe, throws you some of the items that he trades to you for emeralds, which makes the cleric one of the only villagers who will actually do that. The majority of the others all trade you stuff that they can buy back off you, but the cleric is going to throw me some redstone dust, which is very kind of him. I'm going to swap that for some sugar that I seem to have gotten from the witches. And the toolsmith is throwing me some stone tools. I believe the butcher would probably... Yep, the shepherd has just thrown me a bit more wool. The butcher would throw us some food, that kind of stuff. And while a lot of these items are frankly a little bit useless, aside from the books, which I could always use a couple more of, it's kind of sweet of the villagers to throw all of these tools in your general direction. That's an iron axe, which is honestly probably one of the best things that you can get from the villagers here. And while it seems relatively unlikely that you'd ever want to use this mechanic for it, this is one of the only ways in the current version of Minecraft of getting hold of renewable clay blocks. You cannot fortune clay, so whenever you collect it from a lush cave or a swamp or wherever, you're only ever bringing back as many blocks as you break. So while there is a way in the upcoming 1.19 update to Minecraft where we'll be able to get clay renewably, getting hold of it from the stonemason here, even if he'll only throw one block of it to you, is still a renewable way of getting hold of clay, which isn't really possible to do any other way right now. The farmer has thrown us a pumpkin pie as well, which is kind of nice of him. I might maybe even stash that in here along with all of the cookies and the other bits and pieces, but yeah, the villagers are just going to throw you a bunch of relatively harmless stuff. The Fletchers will even throw you some tipped arrows. If they have potion tipped arrows as part of their loot table, it stands to reason that they're going to be able to throw a couple of those to you every so often. Really, it's just kind of a sweet mechanic, and any items you don't want, you can probably just throw on the ground and leave them to despawn, no harm done. Eventually, though, that hero of the village effect is going to wear off, because even though it comes out without a time to begin with, I believe it's capped at about 40 minutes. A similar thing happens with the Bad Omen effect, except Bad Omen lasts for 100 minutes, which is why I often recommend dispelling the Bad Omen effect if you get it outside of the area of a village. If you end up luring a pillager captain into the radius of a village, though, killing it will basically trigger a raid almost immediately. You won't really have time to prepare for that, it will just happen. So that is something we can potentially exploit in future in order to trigger raids over and over again, but for now we're just going to leave it at the one raid for today because I honestly have had more than enough excitement and I need to repair my bow. There is a pillager outpost over here on the savannah though, so if I wanted to, these villagers could be in big trouble pretty quickly. For now, all I'm going to do is grab a bucket of milk to show you that much like other status effects, Hero of the Village can be dispelled, it can be removed from you simply by drinking a bucket of milk. So this happens the same as Bad Omen, the same as Poison, or any of the positive status effects you can get. You can remove Hero of the Village using a bucket of milk if you're just tired of villagers chucking useless items at you. So as we will see, if we look at the Advancements tab here under Adventure, Voluntary Exile means killing a raid captain, and we now have Hero of the Village for successfully defending a village from a raid. And the outline of this means it's one of the challenge advancements in the game, and we even got a little bit of XP as a reward for that. So I think we've done a pretty good job today. We're not done messing with pillagers, but for now that's where we're going to leave it for this episode of the Minecraft Survival Guide. Folks, I hope you've enjoyed taking a look at the first pillager raid I've done in this world, and good luck if you're taking on a raid in your own worlds. Thank you so much for watching this episode. My name has been Pixlriffs. Don't forget to leave a like on this episode if you enjoyed it, subscribe if you want to see more, and I'll see you folks soon. Take care. Bye for now.